Well, for me, one of the most important words in the Christian tradition, and behind that word, one of the most important gifts of the Christian tradition in my life, is the idea of incarnation and the reality of incarnation, of the Word becoming flesh. My training is an academic training, and in the academic culture, the Word often becomes disembodied and floats above things at an altitude where it can't really connect with the human condition. And so for me, as a public intellectual or whatever in heaven's name I am, this notion that the Word becomes flesh has powerful meaning, and I think it's shaped my writing, I think it's shaped my speaking, I think it's shaped my teaching and my living. Not perfectly, but as an aspiration. It's helped to keep me grounded. And the Christmas story in its essence is such a simple and human story about a baby being born under very difficult circumstances. It's a story about God taking the risk of showing up in the flesh and all that comes with it. And I think that's a risk that we're all called to, the risk of incarnation, the risk of embodying our values and our beliefs, the risk of manifesting our identity and integrity in the world, the risk of being fully human. And it's a risk that we shy away from. So the Christmas story for me is a constant reminder that the calling is really to be born and reborn again and again and again in the shape of my own true self, and in all of the simplicity and lack of pomp and circumstance that is involved in the original Christmas story. It's a very hard story to retrieve in the midst of a culture that obviously commercializes it almost to death, and sometimes in the midst of a church that is more drawn to triumphalism than it is to the simplicity of what I think of as the real thing. A baby is very vulnerable. A baby needs nurturing and tending. That's also true of whatever part of me it is that wants to now come out of hiding, that wants to be embodied and incarnate in the world. And I need that unconditional love to provide that nurturing and tending. So it's a story that resonates with me in many, many ways. And I have so many childhood memories of sitting in church and not really understanding that story intellectually, but intuiting it and really being brought to tears by it. I couldn't have told you what the tears were about. By the story, by the music, by the feeling of the season. I couldn't have told you what the tears were about. But today, I can say at least a little bit more. about that, which is what I just tried to say.